I just want to talk about a few key differences in growing a property portfolio, whether comparing it, whether you're at the start of your property portfolio or whether you're a fair way on with your property portfolio. Okay, so my name is Thomas Regan. I'm a buyer's agent here in Australia and I have 11 property portfolio. Two of these properties we've recently purchased. We actually purchased two properties in one day last week on Friday. But anyway, what I wanted to talk about today was the differences between when you're starting out in your property portfolio versus the towards when you're getting up past the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 property mark. So basically, when you're starting out investing, whether you're on you could be like depends what situation you're on basically, and everyone needs someone to help them assess themselves on a case-by-case basis. So this is just general information here, but say if you're on a low income and you have a small deposit, what you're probably looking for when you buy your first property is a property that is going to give you a good cash return. Because you're on a low income, you want a good cash flow, because you need a property that is going to help with servicing. And additionally, what you need also, because you haven't got much savings, you're going to need to buy a property that also has good equity growth in it, like good equity from day one. Why would you need good equity from day one if you don't have a very big deposit? The reason you need good equity from day one if you don't have a very big deposit is because you're going to need to get access to that equity as quickly as possible so you can grow your property portfolio as quickly as possible. And when it comes to investing in property, something that a lot of people get wrong, and I would put it into the opportunity cost bucket, is they don't acquire properties fast enough. The slower you acquire properties, the more expensive it is going to be for you to grow your portfolio, and it's going to be actually harder for you to grow a larger portfolio, okay? So there's a few stages, like you might want to put your property portfolio into a few stages. One stage is like the acquisition, one stage is like the set and forget, and one stage is this consolidation, okay? So in the acquisition stage, you just want to be buying property as quickly as possible. And depending on what situation you're in, you're going to try and target different types of property. If you're, say, a low income earner, but you have a lot of savings, for example, like enough savings to buy, say, 6 properties, and that would be to the tune of, say, $300,000. That would be enough to buy about 6 properties. But if you were in that position, it might be better for you, instead of looking for a property that has immediate equity, you might be looking for properties that have a little bit better cash flow, a little bit more money coming in. Why would you, if you're on a low income and you have the ability to buy 6 properties because you have that much savings, it will be better for you to buy properties that have better cash flow, because if you don't, you won't even be able to use all the money you've got to buy all the properties that you could buy. So by you buying properties that have the best cash flow possible, it is helping you acquire as many properties as possible. Okay, so one situation, there's a one person is in a situation where they're on a low income and they don't have much money. The other person's in a situation where they're on a low income and they have lots of savings. So the two situations are exactly the same, just one different factor, but what it changes the strategy, the starting strategy, very much. Both these people are starting with no properties, for example. Okay. But yes, that's the different strategies you would use in those different situations. And once the person that has the ability to buy 6 properties with $300,000 of savings, once they buy their properties, yes, they're buying properties that have better cash flow, so they have enough servicing to buy every single one of those properties. What I'm getting at is, like, the properties, when you buy properties, the better the cash flow on the properties, the more, or the better the higher the cash flow on your portfolio, it effectively is increasing your income. So when you increase your income, you increase your ability to service more debt, or you increase your ability to buy more assets, more properties. Okay, so they're the two different situations there. So, and you with the second situation, you're still looking for properties that have long-term growth potential and have equity in them, but the difference is with the other strategy, the properties have immediate equity in them. You want the immediate equity so you can rinse and repeat and get onto the second property and then the third property and so on and so on. But effectively, that person that already has the 300K property, it will be less work. They'll be able to acquire more properties easier. The other person will have to do a lot of work to rinse and repeat and get to the same level. By the time both people have 6 properties, one person may have got there in the space of, say, 1 year, and that's just hustling, refinancing, buying the next one, refinancing, buying the next one. Whereas the other person that had $300,000 savings might have been able to get there in the space of, 3 months. They just, bought all the properties at the same time effectively. But they will get to the point where their servicing will hit a barrier again, and they'll either need to personally increase their income, or they'll need to increase their rental income, or either the properties, they'll need to pay down some debt, or the property's interest rates will go down, and that will increase their servicing again. And by that time, that's when you have to reassess your situation and look at taking a different strategy depending on what situation you're in to move forward to get to that next stage of, say, 8, 9, 10, 11 properties. All right, guys, hopefully this helped a little bit with just if you're looking at what sort of route you should start when you're starting to build your investment portfolio in property. But obviously, this is just general advice here. It's no financial advice. I'm just telling you, if I was to do it again, if I was in situation A or B, those are the potential routes that I would take. All right, guys. Cheers. Bye.